Hello students, we are going to start with our lecture on critical path method. It is part 2 because in part 1 we have already seen some basic terms and definitions and formulas which are required to understand critical path method. So we have already seen the network construction. We have already seen how to compute earliest starting time and latest completion time and duration of the project. And we have already seen that how to use these computations to determine critical activities and critical path and what are the meanings of all these terms. So today I'm going to start with an example, but before starting with the example, I would recall you, or I would state this, that your ultimate aim is to find the duration of the project, that in how much time you are going to actually finish the project. But when you are doing the activities, they are also consuming other resource, which is money. So the activities are basically consuming two resources, time and money. Obviously, that money can be included in terms of directly in the form of money, or it can be salary to the persons working on that activity. So whatever form it can be, but broadly we have two resources which are consumed in the execution of the project: the time and money. So time we have seen already. So today first we'll talk about the cost of the project involved, because we have to give an optimal scheduling of the project. At a minimum cost, we have to satisfy the requirements. So we will understand all those concepts of optimal scheduling later, but firstly we need to understand what do you mean by cost of project. So basically there will be two types of cost. One is direct cost and one is indirect cost. So what do we mean by direct cost? So direct cost is that cost which increases with the decrease in duration of the project. So to understand this, you can have an example like, say earlier, say you are doing the project is buying a new house or the construction of a house. And in the construction of a house, one of the activity is painting the house. So earlier you employed 5 persons to paint the house. So obviously, whatever be the size of the house, 5 persons are taking collectively, say together, 1 week or 7 days to paint the house. Now you want that activity to reduce its time. That means you want painting of the house to be done earlier than 7 days. So what you have to do, you have to employ more persons to paint the house. So that means if you want the house to be painted early, instead of 5 people, you have to hire 1 or 2 additional persons more. So obviously hiring of those additional persons will not come for free. You have to pay them as well. So that means here the cost is increasing if you want a decrease in duration of the project, because ultimately we want duration of the project to decrease, and then we narrow down to, okay, which activity should be reduced in its duration, which activity's duration should be decreased. So this cost is related with that sense, that whenever you are trying to reduce the duration of a particular activity, then this kind of cost increases. So this is known as direct cost. We will not be given the types of the cost, but we should understand it this way, that direct costs are always having this kind of effect. For different examples, they can have different meanings. And then you talk about the other kind of cost, which is indirect cost. So indirect cost basically decreases with the decrease in duration of the project. So this kind of cost you can understand like that, suppose there's a factory which is working for 4 months. Say a factory is working for 4 months to satisfy a particular order. They are working for a particular order, and after that order is finished, that factory shuts down. So you hire a person like a security guard or someone, a supervisor of the factory, which is supervising all that work. So if instead of working for 4 months, that factory finishes its work in 3 months. So the salary which you are paying to that supervisor or that security person will definitely decrease, right? So this is proportional to the duration of the project. If project is running long for more duration, this cost is more. As the project duration reduces, this cost also reduces. So this is that kind of cost, indirect cost. So in many questions, you will see that we won't be given indirect cost, because indirect cost does not play any role in optimizing the project schedule. There are different techniques. In some books or some text, you may use a combination of these costs to reach at a decision whether I have to reduce the duration or whether it will be profitable or not. But the method which we are going to follow, critical path method, purely focuses on direct cost. All the decisions are taken based on the direct cost. Indirect cost just comes in the last when you want to compute the total cost of the project. So you just add it to the direct cost and that gives you the total cost. So nowhere we look at the magnitude of indirect cost to decide something. Okay, so keep this in mind. So that is why you will see in most of the question, indirect costs are almost never given to us. But if they are given, the only purpose there is to add into the direct cost to compute the total cost. So it is the direct cost which is going to play some deciding factor in optimizing the project schedule. Right. So now I'll be focusing on particularly direct cost. So here I'm focusing on one particular activity. See, the total cost of project, it will be computed and it will be the sum of cost of individual activities. So here right now I'm focusing on a particular activity because now we have to see a connection between the cost and time. I have just told you that, wait a moment. I have just told you that direct cost is that cost which increases with the decrease in duration of the project. So that means if you draw a graph of direct cost versus time, so what do you expect to see? This should be a decreasing graph, because as time increases, the cost decreases, or as time decreases, the cost should go higher. So there is an assumption which is just assumed for simplicity, that this is linear relationship. See, decrease is there, but obviously there can be many ways the cost can decrease with time, or you can understand it this way, the cost can increase with the decrease in time. So howsoever you want to understand it. So it could be this way also, it could be this way also, but for simplicity, the data, the kind of data which are given to us in the questions follows this linear relationship. That so you will understand the meaning of linearity. That means, say this is something, say 5 days. So that means if you go from 5 to 4 days, so there is a certain increase in the cost. So if you go from 4 to 3 days, so there is an equal amount of increment in the cost. So that's the meaning of linearity. So it has nothing to do with the exponential or non-linearity kind of graphs. So anyways, so that's just the assumption and you don't need to worry about it. The data given is always following the linear relationship. Okay, so fine. Now I'll be giving you some terms which we need to understand very carefully. So what is this Tn and what is this Tc? So T stands for time and Tn stands for normal duration. Normal duration means, if you remember in the last lecture, we computed the total duration of the project, or duration of the activities, I should say. So these are the original durations which are always given to us, that this particular activity is taking this much time. So they are the normal durations. And then what happens? They ask you, okay, compress the activity, crash the activity. That means reduce its time. So just now I gave you an example of the activity of house painting. You want to paint the house in less number of days. So they'll give you, okay, instead of 5 days, give me the house painted just in 3 days. Okay, you will accept, fine, we'll do that in 3 days. You will hire more resources and get the work done. But now suddenly they change their mind, the owner change the mind and say, okay, no, instead of 3 days, I want this to be done in 2 days. You will say, okay, fine, I can still do it by hiring more resources. The only thing is cost is going to increase. Still acceptable. But still the person is adamant, saying, no, give me it in 1 day. So what you're going to do, okay, you will say, still I can do it, but I need more person. The cost is going to be super high. That's still acceptable. But if the person is demanding, okay, finish it in 1 hour, say the person puts forward an unreasonable demand, which is not practical in time, that howsoever number of resources you employ, but that's not feasible. So if we paint the complete house in just half an hour, so howsoever number of employees you hire, but that's not feasible. So that means there's a certain limit, there's a certain minimum time beyond which the activity cannot be compressed further. So this is called compressing the activity or crashing the activity. You are reducing its time, so you are crashing it, you are compressing it. So there is always, for every activity, there's a particular duration beyond which it cannot be reduced further. You can see here is a 0 time. So obviously this TC for every activity will be strictly greater than 0. There is no activity which you can finish in 0 time. So that's not practical. So there will be always crash duration. So that's why this is called crash duration. So this is always given for every activity. It's normal duration and it's crash duration. So crash duration is the time taken by an activity beyond which it cannot be compressed further. I've just explained you the meaning. And then we have these. So the cost of the direct cost. So this cost here, let me recall you, this is not the total cost. This is direct cost I'm referring to, because indirect cost is having a different kind of graph, but I am only interested in looking at the direct cost. So this graph is basically direct cost versus time. So the cost corresponding to the normal duration is the normal cost denoted by Cn. And similarly, the cost corresponding to the crash duration is denoted by Cc, that is crash cost. So we have this Cc crash cost, Cn is a normal cost. So crash cost is a cost incurred by an activity to finish in crash duration. So all these four things, Tc, Tn, Cc and Cn are always given to us in the question for all the activities. Each individual activity has their own 4 datas. And then what is the most important thing, why we are focusing on this graph? I want to interpret something from here. If you want to compute the slope of this graph, so this is obviously a decreasing graph, you can see. So the slope is definitely negative, but what I'm interested in just the magnitude of the slope. So the slope you can compute y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1. So that's a simple formula to compute the slope. So these are the coordinates cc, tc comma cc, and this is tn comma cn. So if you want to compute the slope, that will be the value. And of course you can see this is a negative quantity because cc is greater than cn, but tc is smaller than tn. So this is negative, but we are only interested in its magnitude. Compute only the magnitude of the slope. So that is the next thing we have to do in the question. We have to compute the slopes. Why we have to compute the slopes? So this I'll explain in the question, but here I can give you the sense of the slope, that what this slope is actually representing. So just now I gave you the example that suppose a particular activity is taking 5 days to finish, but then you reduce its duration from 5 days to 4 days. So there is a certain rise in the cost. This much is the rise in the cost. So what is this rise in the cost is actually the slope. You see, this divided by this, because this is 1 unit, 5 minus 4 is 1 unit. So this magnitude is basically nothing but the slope. So slope is representing the per unit rise, the rise in direct cost on per unit decrease in duration. Per unit means, why I'm saying per unit, because it can be a day, it can be a minute, it can be an hour. So whatever the time unit there can be, but slope is physically representing increase in the cost of the project or of that particular activity on reducing the duration of the activity by 1 unit. So that's the meaning of the slope, and slope will play a very important role in deciding our scheduling of the project. So there we'll talk about it in more detail, that how we have to make decisions based on the slope. So these are the things which will be given to us in the questions, and using this formula we'll be computing the slopes, and then we will see where to use the slopes. So that's about the terminology. Some more definitions we need to start with the method. So here I'm telling you one more thing, that you may find different versions of critical path method in different books. So this is the one which we are going to study is free floats. It is based on the concept of FFs. FF is the word used for, abbreviation used for free floats. There is also another more refined version of critical path method, which is focusing on total float. But we are not interested in this one. We will be only focusing on the free floats, right? So if ever you see somewhere total float kind of definition, that is perfectly right, but we are not going to incorporate that information here. So we need to compute certain other things. So free floats will be computing for any activity. So that's the formula which you need to remember. ESJ minus ESI minus TIJ. So ES is denoting the earliest starting time, and T is denoting the duration of that particular activity. So basically free floats physical significance is the time lag, because you see earliest starting time at ith node and earliest starting time at jth node. If you see the difference, so for critical activities, these are equal. If you remember the definition of critical activities, for critical activity, ESJ minus ESI is equal to TIJ. So for critical activities, your free floats are always 0. So meaning of free float is there is no scope in the critical activity. Like critical activities are those activities which are running back to back. There are no time lags in between. I explained you this in the last lecture also. So we will be only computing the free floats of the non-critical activities, because non-critical activities have certain time lag in between them. Again, recalling you the example yesterday which we discussed, that say here we have 2, 5, and suppose this finishes there, and on this side say you have 2 and 3. So these two are critical because 2 plus 5 is making it 7 and 2 plus 3 is making it 5. So the longest path is this side. So this will be the critical definitely. So for non-critical, we will be computing the free floats, because you see this is taking 7 hours or 7 days. So the project is getting finished in 7 days. But this is taking 5 days to finish. So it has still a time lag of 2 days. So instead of finishing it in 5 days, it can also be finished in 6 days or 5.5 days or even 7 days. This is not going to affect the project's duration. So that's why non-critical activity free floats are computed. So that's the basically physical understanding of this, but you will see eventually in the question that we'll be computing FFs using this formula, and no need to compute FFs for critical activity because they are 0 always. So after computing free floats, we compute this number, FF limit. So FF limit is a minimum of strictly positive FFs. Means for all the non-critical activities, you will be computing this, and then whatever be the list of values you will be getting, you choose the minimum of them. That minimum should not be 0. That should be something non-zero. So strictly positives. Negatives ye honge nahi, they always are going to be greater than equals to 0. So you have to choose the strictly positive and the minimum of them. That is the FF limit. So FF limit is basically going to tell you what is the scope of reduction in duration from the network. That how much reduction the non-critical activities are allowing you to reduce. So this information will be that how much crashing can be done. In detail, you will understand in the example. So I'll not go in much detail here because this is just theoretical. Let me just give you another definition. And then see, FF limit is not focused on any particular activity. Free floats are computed activity wise, but when you compute FF limit, this is the FF limit of the total network, right? But then we compute crash limit. crash limit is computed activity wise. So the formula for crash limit of a particular ijth activity is its current duration minus its crash duration. That means how much a particular activity is allowing you to compress. For example, the same example, suppose the house painting is an activity which is taking 5 days, but its crash duration is say 1 day. That whatever you pay, howsoever you hire the new resources, but you cannot finish the house painting beyond 1 day or in any time less than 1 day. So this information is always given to us. So this is the normal duration, this is the crash duration. So the difference between them is the crash limit, that this much is the scope of reduction. The difference between them is the scope of reduction. So that is the crash limit. And then we compute compression limit, which is a minimum of these two limits. Because this information is coming from the critical activity. This information is coming from the network, which is a combination of the non-critical activities. So collectively, how much you can reduce is going to be minimum of both the limits, because you cannot go beyond these limits. So overall compression limit is the actual number of days which will be reduced in that particular step. So that is going to be decided according to this formula, minimum of FF limit and the crash limit. So you'll understand all this in the example in a better way. So let's go to the example. So I've taken a very simple example for the beginning. A company manufacturing plant and equipment for chemical processing is in the process of quoting tender called by PSU. Help the manager to find the project completion time to participate, given that indirect cost. So I told you this indirect cost can sometimes be given or not given. That does not affect anything. That just a quantity needs to be added in the last. So we'll see it later. What is the meaning of indirect cost? Let's see the statement incomplete. So this is the data which is given to us. The activity, predecessors, normal time means duration and normal cost. And this is crash time and crash cost. I told you 4 things will be given to you: TN, TC, CN, CC. So this is normal cost, this is crash cost. This is normal time and this is crash time. Activity wise, for each activity is given A, B, C, D. And obviously these are the totals. Right now we don't need to look at these totals. So the first step is, yes. What is the first step? You have to draw the network diagram. Before drawing the network diagram, you cannot do any calculations. So that's the first step, you draw the network diagram. So it's a very easy network to draw. Yeah. Okay, we'll draw the diagram, but let's see, we are given the additional questions at what actually we have to do. So first thing is we have to find the project completion time. So this is the first part, determine the total cost and duration. Second part, find the critical activities and critical path. Then find the project schedule if it is to be completed in 11 days, and then the total cost. So these 3 parts are given to us. We will see individually each part to be solved one by one. So the first thing is you have to determine the cost and duration of the project. So obviously for that you have to draw the network diagram. So to draw the network diagram, I need this information, the activity, predecessors, and how much time a particular activity is taking. So you can see there are 4 activities. A has no predecessor, means from the very first node, you will draw A. And then B has predecessor A. So that means wherever A finishes, from there B starts. And then activity C also has predecessor A. So that means wherever A finishes, there onwards C start. And then activity D starts after B. So activity D starts after B. So you know there should be one common terminal node. So ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको C यहाँ पे खत्म कर देना है और D यहाँ पे finish हो जाएगा. It's not right that you draw 2 ending nodes. So whenever you have the activities which are just like this, they are open nodes. There is a no node further connecting activity. So obviously this also has to finish at the same node. So that's why this is the diagram. There should be a common terminal node, right? So I hope this is clear. This part we have explained in the network diagram, and that's a very simple network to draw. And then below each activity I have written the duration. This is 4, 5, 7, 4. So 4, 5, 7 and 4. Obviously in order. A duration is 4, B duration is 5, C duration is 7 and D duration is 4. So the first step is done. I have drawn the network diagram. Now, the next important thing you have to do is you forget these names. Whatever is this A, B, C, D, because from now onwards, I will not be looking at their names. I'll be only looking at the activities node wise. I need the representation mathematically, not in terms of A, B, C, D, because that's how our method proceeds. So A activity is 1, 2, because you can see 1 is the starting node of activity A and 2 is the ending node of activity A. So A activity actually I'll be denoting by 1, 2. So that's the notation we have to write. B activity I'll be denoting by 2, 3. So I have written here. C activity is 2, 4 and D activity is 3, 4. Right? So you need to parallelly look at when I say A activity. So actually I'm saying 1, 2. Okay, so that's just the mapping of the notation. Fine. So naming of activity is done as I, j. Then we have to compute earliest starting times, the latest completion time at all the nodes and write on the network. In the example we did yesterday in the previous lecture, there I showed you the calculation in detail. But then I told you that actually you can do the calculations right directly on the network. So today I'm going to do the calculations directly on the network. And you will see all the steps clearly. So these are the recalling of the formulas, but you will see while writing the values that I'm not going to look at the formulas. I don't even remember these formulas, but I just understand the sense of ES and LC. So that will help me to write earliest starting time and latest completion time here. So, you know, in square box, I have to write the ES value. In the triangular box over the top of it, I have to write the LC value. So for node 1, ES is always 0. Then move to node 2. Obviously, पहले ES calculate होने हैं सारे, फिर LC compute होने हैं. So then move to node 2, and what should be here? It's 0 plus this duration. So 0 plus 4 makes it 4. And when you go to node 3, so at node 3, this is previous ES, because at node 3 you are coming from 2. So this is ES2, which is 4 plus 5 makes it 9. And when you come to node 4, so what situation is different here? Because at node 4, there is more than one incoming arrow. You are not coming directly from one activity or from one node. You are coming here from more than one nodes. So you have to compute individually. So 9 plus 4 makes it 13. But if you see from this side, 4 plus 7 makes it 11. And you have to write the maximum. So 9 plus 4 is 13, therefore this will be 13. So I have computed all the ES and now I'll compute the LCs. 9, 13, yeah. For LC, I'll start from here. So the last LC is same as the ES, so 13. Then go to node 3. There's only one outgoing, so it's simply 13 minus 4 is 9. Then you go to node 2. At node 2, there is more than one outgoing. There are two outgoings. So from both the directions, you will compute. 9 minus 5 is 4. And 13 minus 7 is 6. So you have to choose the minimum one. So minimum is 4. And the last is 0. I need not even compute that. I know that is 0. So that's the computation of ES and LC, and that was very easy for this particular example. And so the duration of the project is 13 days, because whatever is the last ES and LC, that's actually the duration of the project. And you also need to find the total cost of the project. So total cost of the project is the sum of direct cost and indirect cost. So let me go back to the statement. This was the given in the question. These are the direct cost. So obviously all cost needs to be added. So don't you get confused at this step ki we will be adding the cost of only critical activities. Many students do this mistake. They only compute cost of critical activities. ऐसा नहीं है. चाहे एक्टिविटी क्रिटिकल है चाहे नॉन क्रिटिकल है, बट वो हो तो रहा है ना, राइट? इट्स कंज्यूमिंग रिसोर्सेज, सो द टोटल कॉस्ट इज एक्चुअली टू बी कंप्यूटेड बाय एडिंग ऑल द कॉस्ट. So this is the sum of all cost is directly given to you in the question, 15,600. So this is a direct cost, but I also have to see the indirect cost, which is 200 per day. So always indirect cost is given like with unit of time. So obviously now the duration of project is 13 days. So 200 is being multiplied with 13. So this will give me this cost as the total cost of the project. So that we have answered the first part. What is the total cost and duration of the project? And now let me go to the second part. You find the critical activities and critical path. So you recall the definition of critical activity, that a particular activity we call critical if ESI is LCI, ESJ is LCJ, and the difference between ESJ and ESI is actually equal to the duration. So firstly, you just focus on those nodes where ES and LC values are equal. Coincidentally, in this question, at all the nodes, both ES and LC are same. This is 0, 0, 4, 4, 9, 9, and 13, 13. So that means these two conditions are satisfied every time. So only need to verify this third condition. So firstly, you go for activity 1, 2. It's very easy to see the difference. 4 minus 0 is actually 4. So this is a critical activity. So double line, underline with another line here to symbolize that this is the critical activity. 9 minus 4 is 5 again, so underline it. 13 minus 9 is 4, so this is also critical. But if you look at this one, the activity 2 to 4, 13 minus 4 should be 9, but this is equal to this is not equal to 7, so therefore this is not critical. So we have identified the critical activities 1, 2, 2, 3 and 3, 4, and the critical path is 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Because the path is always, you have to specify from the starting node to the terminal node via going from the critical activities. So the second part is also done. Find the critical activities and the critical paths. So now comes to the third part. So this is where the actual scheduling starts. यहाँ तक तो हमने कल भी कर लिया था कि how to identify ES, LC, duration and critical activities and critical path. Now the question is, they'll ask you to reduce the project duration. So find the project schedule if it is to be completed in 11 days and the total cost. Schedule means this. The network diagram which you have drawn is actually a project schedule. They are asking you to draw the schedule if you have to complete the project in 11 days. So that means from 13 days, I have to go to 11 days. And then obviously I'll be computing the cost step by step. So you understand these steps carefully. See, we need certain definitions here. So the first thing is I'll be computing free floats. I'll be computing first FF limit. And for FF limit, I have to compute free floats of the non-critical activities. So critical activities का नहीं compute करना है, सिर्फ non-critical activities का ही free float compute होगा. If at this point of time, suppose in your network, or if at any point of time, you do not have any non-critical activity, so this step gets eliminated by itself. You don't need to compute FF limits in that case. But here, at least, I'll be computing the FF limit. So there is just one non-critical activity, activity 2 to 4. So you compute FF of this, free float of this activity 2 to 4 is a difference between the ES values. So you remember this whenever you are computing free floats. So you have to see the square box values. So 13 minus 4 minus 7. So 13 minus 4, 9 minus 7 is 2. So FF is 2. And that is the way you write it in the network only. That's why I told you. Their original names of activities A, B, C, D. There's no space actually in the network to write these many things. That's why we just forget about their original names, because we have to write even this kind of informations here. So for non-critical activity, you have to write free floats over the line. So I've computed, this is turning out to be 2 as per this formula. So since this is just one free float, so FF limit is 2. जितने भी FFs इस point पे आते हैं, आपको उनका minimum लेना है 0 को छोड़ के. Means positives का minimum लेना है. यहाँ पे एक ही है, so this is FF limit. Next thing, you have to compute the crash limit. I talked about FF limit, crash limit, and then the compression limit. So FF limit ho gaya, this is 2. So this means this network is allowing us for a 2-day reduction. Now I have to compute the crash limit. But remember, crash limit is not computed for the network. Crash limit is computed for a particular activity. And now the question arises here is, which activity should be crashed? And as yesterday's lecture, I explained you that why we are actually identifying critical activities. Because critical activities are those activities जिनकी duration कम करने से ही project की duration कम होगी. Because वही वो activities हैं जो ज़्यादा time ले रही हैं. So obviously we have to choose this activity to crash out of the critical activities. So that means on the critical path, you have to select one activity to compress. To crash means to reduce its duration. So that's the technical word used in this context. Okay, so moving ahead, I have to make a decision that out of this 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, I have to choose one activity whose duration I have to reduce. Yeah, so for that I have to compute the slopes. So here comes a slope in picture. I was telling you slope is playing an important role in deciding about the crashing of activities. So I have to compute the slopes. So normally what is recommended कि आप स्लोप स्टार्टिंग में ही सभी एक्टिविटीज की निकाल लो. ऑल्दो यू सी मुझे 2 to 4 की स्लोप निकालने की यहाँ पे जरूरत नहीं थी बिकॉज दैट इज अ नॉन क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी, बट यू डोंट नो दैट इन फ्यूचर यू मे नीड इट. So it's beneficial you compute the slope of all activities here only, whether that is critical or non-critical. Information will be using for critical only, but you just do the calculation anyway. So that's the formula of slope. Cc minus Cn by Tc minus Tn, and just take the magnitude of it. So you can see this is the crash cost 12,000 minus normal cost 4,000 turns out to be 8,000. You have to divide it by the difference in the durations, 4 minus 2. So 8,000 by 2 makes it 4,000. So you can just do the calculations here only and verify these are the slopes. And now I have to choose that particular activity to crash which is having minimum slope. And now the question is why minimum? I've already explained you the physical meaning of slope. Slope is representing the rise in cost of the project per unit decrease in duration. कि आप एक पर्टिकुलर एक्टिविटी की अगर ड्यूरेशन एक दिन कम करते हो, लाइक इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड द सेंस ऑफ दिस 4,000 रुपीज, दैट मीन्स अगर मैं एक्टिविटी ए की ड्यूरेशन एक दिन कम करती हूँ, देन आई हैव टू पे 4,000 रुपीज. So this is per unit rise. This is rise in the cost per unit in decrease in duration of that particular activity. So obviously I'll be choosing that activity to compress, which is charging me minimum, because my ultimate aim is to finish the job early in this much days. See, your task is given to you कि आपको project 13 नहीं 11 days में finish करना है. It does not matter आप कौन सी activity जल्दी finish कर रहे हो, right? That restriction is not given to you. So you just have to finish the project early. So I'll be focusing on that activity कि जिसको जल्दी करने के लिए मुझे कम से कम पैसे increase कर रहे हैं. Like there's a less increment in cost. So that means the slope should be minimum. So you just need to remember this. We have to go with the minimum slope to make this decision because we are economically reducing the project duration. Okay. So these are the 4 activities. Obviously, these 3 are critical and the 2 to 4 is non-critical. So out of the critical ones, I have to choose the one with the minimum slope, and I can clearly see this is the minimum slope 1,500. So which activity is this? 2,3. So 2,3 means this activity. So I have decided that I will be crashing this particular activity. So the computation of slopes is done just to decide which activity to crash. And now we have to make a decision how much reduction is going to be there, by how many days you have to reduce it. So at least we have made the decision after computation of slopes, looking at the minimum slope activity along the critical path. I have decided I'll be crashing 2,3. So now I'll be computing this activity's crash limit. सो क्रैश लिमिट जो आपको कंप्यूट करना है वो सारी एक्टिविटीज का नहीं करना होता है, वो सिर्फ उसी एक्टिविटी का कंप्यूट करते हैं जिसको पहले डिसाइड किया जाता है कि ओके इसके रिडक्शन करनी है, और वो डिसीजन हो रहा है स्लोप्स के बेस पे. एंड वंस यू कंप्यूट क्रैश लिमिट, okay, so what was the formula of crash limit? Crash limit was, it's coming back to this, the formula for crash limit was normal duration minus crash duration. So 5 minus 2 is 3. So this is the crash limit. So I have got the FF limit, I have got the crash limit. Finally, the compression limit should be minimum of the FF limit and the crash limit, which is minimum of 2 and 3, which is 2. So that means I'll be actually able to reduce the project duration by 2 days. And actually मुझे 2 days ही चाहिए था, 11 days है. So यहाँ पे अगर 10 days होता सपोज 11 की बजाय, तो एक स्टेप में आप 2 ही कर सकते हो. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको अल्टीमेटली 10 पे जाना है, आप 3 days रिड्यूस कर दोगे. No, first you see your feasibility. Your feasibility means you look at your compression limit. एक स्टेप में उतना ही कंप्रेस कर पाओगे जितना आपकी कंप्रेशन लिमिट आपको बता रही है. सपोज ये क्वेश्चन में यहाँ 10 days होता, तो फर्स्ट स्टेप में हम 13 से 11 पे जाएंगे, और फिर अगर पॉसिबल होगा तो फिर 11 से 10 पे जाएंगे. बट राइट नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज अप टू 11 days ओनली. सो लेट्स जस्ट डू द कंप्रेशन बाय 2 days. अब कंप्रेशन करना कैसे है? यू चूज दैट पर्टिकुलर एक्टिविटी जिसको आपने चूज किया था रिड्यूस करने के लिए ड्यूरेशन 2,3. अब उसकी करंट ड्यूरेशन है कितनी? 5. इसके 2 दिन कम कर दो तो ये कितनी हो गई? 3. ओके, एंड बिकॉज अभी आपने नेटवर्क में चेंज कर दिया है, यू हैव चेंज द प्रोजेक्ट ड्यूरेशन ऑफ वन एक्टिविटी, सो देयरफॉर योर ES and LCs नीड्स टू बी कंप्यूटेड अगेन. ये जो ES LC लिखे हैं, अब ये नेटवर्क, यू कैन से दिस नेटवर्क इज नॉट राइट because the ES LCs are old, but you have updated the activities duration. So once you update the duration of the activities, actually reducing it by whatever was the compression limit turning out to be. So now you have to compute ES and LCs again. So you do that part again. So these are the new ES and LC. You can see you will be very much expert in this process. Computing ES and LC first time पे ही आपको थोड़ा ध्यान से करना होता है. उसके बाद सिर्फ you just have to see where the changes are occurring. And once a particular activity is critical, it will remain critical throughout. वो दोबारा से non-critical नहीं बनती है, right? So ये 0 0 है, ये 4 4 है, so ये 3 हुआ है, so obviously this will be 7 7 and 7 plus 4 will be 11. Means okay, I'm not going to tell you the shortcut here. You will be identifying this yourself, that this is very easy to update the ES and LC. This does not take much time to compute ES and LC again. Once you will be expert in this, but you have to compute them again because this final figure has to change. So you have got the answer. They were asking you to find a project schedule for 11 days. So now this is the schedule for 11 days, but now I have to compute the cost. So the cost is, yeah, old cost will be there. उसमें कुछ ऐड ही होगा आपका, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली आपने ड्यूरेशन कम किया है तो आपको ज्यादा पे करना पड़ेगा. सो कितना ड्यूरेशन, कौन सी एक्टिविटी का ड्यूरेशन कम किया है आपने? 2 to 3 का. सो उस एक्टिविटी का स्लोप इनटू द कंप्रेशन लिमिट, बिकॉज कंप्रेशन लिमिट इज दैट नंबर कि कितने दिन एक्चुअल में कम किए हैं. कंप्रेशन लिमिट वाज 2, दैट्स व्हाई हमने 2 days कम किए हैं. सो स्लोप वाज द राइज इन कॉस्ट पर यूनिट डे. So this has to be multiplied with the number of days कि actual में कितने दिन reduction किए हैं, right? So this makes sense. The slope will be multiplied with compression limit, slope of this particular activity जिसको आपने reduce किया है. ये तो हो गया आपकी cost में addition. And now since in this question you're also given indirect cost, so indirect cost decrease होती है आपके project की duration decrease होने से, right? So minus करोगे आप indirect cost multiplied by compression limit. Compression limit is जितने दिन आपने actual कम किए हैं तो उतने ही से ही multiply होके indirect cost आपकी कम हो जाएगी. So this is old cost. The previous step cost was this. Slope इसका 1500 था. You can check 2 to 3 activity का slope 1500 था into 2 minus ये आपकी indirect cost है 200 per day, so this also needs to be multiplied with number of days. So this is a final figure. So that finishes this question, and that was the easiest example I could think of to understand the CPM crashing. This is called project scheduling, optimizing, project planning, whatever, there are different terms for it. But this was the easiest and simplest example जिसमें कोई भी exception नहीं था हमारे पास, straight forward we were doing everything.